Hello again, and here we are at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 138. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. At least I think they don't. And today, you're going to hear my take on universal balance. The fight between good and evil, light and dark, and where we, mere humans, fit into it all. Most people might be a little bit surprised to hear that we live in a battleground every single day of our lives. We are born into it, some blissfully unaware of this constant temptation and the pressure that we're under. It's like we're being pulled to and fro with our thoughts and our words and our actions and our reactions and the people and the temptations around us every day. Have we created this, or is there something else pulling the strings? Now, when you wake up spiritually, and I'm not talking the fluffy bunnies, angels and rainbow type wake up, but I'm talking about the realization that the devil and God are on either side of this earth battlefield, watching our everyday choices, successes, failures, mistakes, watching and waiting to see how we react or don't react. It really does blow your mind, and you start to go down the rabbit hole, as I did and I always do. Nothing is ever simple. There are so many questions. And just to shake it up, as you know, I always have a different perspective to most people. I'm going to add another aspect. Now, I look at the battlefield with three sides, which again, some people might find a little bit challenging. So on the left, we have the devil and his henchmen roaming the world, tempting us constantly and feeding off our negativity, our emotions, our traumas. And on the right, we have God and the angelic realm encouraging us and supporting our choices, the ups, the downs, and picking us up when we make mistakes. And then squeezed in the middle, mingling amongst us mere humans, just trying to survive our daily lives, we have the sorcery and the dark magic practitioners, sending out harm to others for their own self-satisfying needs. So how to unpack it all? Because you know I love the detail. The devil, as they say, is in the detail. So to get started, I thought the easiest way to do this is to break it all up into 4 parts. So let's start with the dark forces and their agenda. Now, the nature of demons is rather interesting. You know, I have a respectful fascination about them. We know they're dark and mysterious, and they're often feeding on our tormented minds and dramas and traumas and negative reactions, all that doom and gloom. But they are what my good friend Reverend Leslie told me, that demons are on a tethered leash. Now, when she said this, I just sat there with my mouth open. I'm like, wow, I never thought of it this way. And how she explained it is, demons are connected to the highest of highest power. I'm going to call that power God today. I'm just going to stick with the one word. Now, these entities became dark and mysterious and demonic after becoming fallen angels. So initially, they were of the lighter realm. They were angels. So therefore, even after they're fallen, they are still tied legally to the highest of high powers and must do accordingly as to what they're told. So I found this really, really fascinating. I'd not thought about that perspective before. And I did wonder, are demons part of the greater plan? Are they being used as tools to make us wake up, kind of teaching us spiritually to step into our own power? Because I know through this work that I've been doing, through the energy clearing work, the house clearing work, it gets me thinking about who I am, how I work, my morals, my ethics, my values, who I am as a person. So it really does make me self-reflect, makes me reflect on who I am. So are these entities presenting to many, many people around the world day after day, poking them and prodding them in different situations to make people wake up? As much as people say that demons, they hate us and they loathe human beings. I hear this on YouTube all the time because I've been doing a lot of deep diving into YouTube videos lately, listening to exorcists talk about how they go through their process, talking about their lives, talking about working with demons. But then you've got other cultural backgrounds that say that demons have good and bad in them. There's different approaches to this. So I've always looked at entities with a very open mind. I have found, and this is the number one key thing that I have found as a lay person that sometimes comes up, these entities sometimes present themselves when I'm doing an energetic clearing of a home. They value respect. It's like the universal law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, some of you will be freaking out now going, demons aren't going to respect you. But I find what you put out is what you get back. So if I'm going into a property to do an energetic clearing of the trauma imprints, the emotional imprints, say someone's passed away on the property, there's been addictions, there's been detrimental viewing, these entities are going to be present. I don't go in there with swords drawn and guns blazing. I go in there to clear out their food source because I find once you clear out their food source, they're going to go. There's no reason for them to stay. So it doesn't create any problems. There's no battling. There's no negativity. You simply remove the vibrations that these beings are attached to and they leave. It's simply how it works. It's not as dramatic as a lot of people want to make it out to be. There's no demon slaying. They value respect. So you put respect out there, most of the time you're going to get it back. There's always a few rebels because that's just how they work. Now, people who go into homes willy-nilly just thinking, oh, I can feel demons in here, or I wonder if there's demons in this property, because the entities that are there, they take that as that's their property. While they're there and those vibrations are there that they like, they're going to stay. And if you go in there half-cocked and think that you're going to do some demon slaying, there's no respect in that. Right, they're going to take you down mentally and emotionally and sometimes physically. So what I say to people, this work, you've got to be respectful. Now, Leslie, who is a lovely friend of mine, she is a religious demonologist and an exorcist. And she uses the terminology God's legal authority. Now, Leslie says that she is a lawyer for Christ. And she serves notice to demons to leave people and to leave places in God's name. And they have to obey because remember, they are tethered to God. They are connected to the highest power in the universe. Leslie understands the legal nature of demons. She has studied this for many, many years. And she looks at what they do and how they're always looking for the chinks in our armour. That's the way that they get in. And she uses the terminology, we live in the devil's playground. And I find that absolutely fascinating and very truthful. We are all being tested all the time. And once you're aware that these entities are out there and they're watching us and they're observing us all the time, they're looking at our responses and our decisions. Are we learning and growing and moving on with our lives and raising our vibration, or are we going backwards into the darkness where these dark beings can feed off us all the time? It's all about awareness. You'll hear me talk about awareness and observing without fear. But the awareness is once you know that we are in a battlefield and we are in this constant barrage of really does make you think about your reactions. I find that I am less reactive in a lot of situations now so that I don't attract dark beings. Because when I get angry when I'm driving, Even just shaking a fist or calling some driver an idiot because he didn't indicate. You do that often enough, you create the vibration of, depending on how you do it, it could be anger or rage or hostility. Or if you're swerving and driving all over the road like an idiot, you're going to attract the dark entities that like that vibration. So when you understand that we are living every single day in a battlefield, you start to behave yourself. You really, really do. And you just start to think about your reactions, and you catch yourself stopping going to the negative, because quite often we're trained to do that. And you look at handling situations in a better way. Because I always say to people, what is the most beneficial outcome for you in this situation or your family? And you go from there. Now we're going to look at where we sit with the love and light that is in the universe. So God has a plan. You always hear people say that. It's just depending on your religious or your spiritual beliefs. I was born a Catholic. I've lived most of my life as a spiritual person, believing in all religions, all outcomes, because basically it all comes back to love and that one higher vibrational something that is there, that we have come from. That point of creation, if you want to look at it that way. So this is how I look at it. Our powerful supporters in the higher realms, they look out for our best interests. And they're always presenting us with opportunities for growth. Whether it be through courses or books or friends saying, come and do this with me on the weekend. You never know what is going to be put in front of you as an opportunity. Now, sometimes the opportunities and the experiences and the happenings that we go through are terrible and traumatic. And part of that is the dark, but also part of that is the light. Because sometimes you've got to go through the crap. You've got to wade through the crap to come out of it and clean yourself off and go, wow, I'm not doing that again. So going through the darkness helps us move into the light. If you want to be all light and fluffy, you don't hear me talk like that very often. But that's basically what it is. Our higher vibrational supporters, they want us to succeed. They want us to be the best that we can be in each and every lifetime. And this isn't comparing yourself to somebody else. So universal balance is all about you being the best that you can be, not comparing yourself to Joe Blogs down the road or some influencer on YouTube or TikTok, and you're really sad because your videos aren't getting as many views as hers, and you're berating yourself because you think you're not good enough. We all have different skills, different outlets, different ways of helping each other. So if you look at it that way, when we create the best that we can be in each lifetime, we are helping benefit universal balance, because there's a lot of dark in the world. We're going to get to that pretty soon too. You think I've already talked about it? No. We are going darker and deeper. So to put it bluntly, the devil's job is to keep us mentally and emotionally low and miserable, not succeeding in our lives, feeling like we are useless and hopeless and worthless. Now, I've been there. I go there, I don't know, in the last 4 years, which I'm going to talk about soon, it's been a bit tough. It's been rather tough, and I've been up and down like a roller coaster, and I don't like roller coasters that make my stomach churn. But I always end on the higher side. I never stay down in the doldrums. I think you have to get to the bottom of the pit sometimes to go, you know what, I can't go any further. I'm going to have to go up. And when you do that, you are creating better universal balance in your life, because each of our lives contributes to the universal balance. And yes, it goes up and down, and the scales get tipped sideways. And the tug of war that ensues all the time. Are we going to stay up? Are we going to stay down? It really does. Depends where we sit. Where do you want to be with this? Do you want to sit in ego? We have to look at the wants that you have in your life. What do you want from your life? How are you going to go about getting those wants and desires? Do you work hard for them? Or do you take the devil's shortcuts, those temptations, to maybe lie or cheat or steal or even kill to get what you want? Is that really going to give people what they want? That really does tip the balance. That does tip the scales in the devil's favour. Now this leads us into us mere humans. Now we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And boy, what a bloody pain in the arse of an experience it is. In one of my recent episodes, I talked about in one of my episodes that we're living in this zoo, like this emotional zoo where we just fed on all the time by lower vibrational beings. That's what it feels like. It just feels like we are stuck in this existence. But the thing is, there's one thing that pulls us out of this doldrums. We have free will. Everything boils down to free will, intention, morals, ethics, and choices. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example, me and my little podcast. To be popular, because I went through this ego thing. I'm like, why aren't I popular? No one likes what I'm doing. Like I was getting really down about my podcast not being popular. But you know what? The people that need you will find you. It's one of those sayings that we all have. Because it's true. I have people that go, oh my goodness, I just found you. You're the exact person that I need. And it doesn't matter whether you've got 500 followers or 5 million followers. So let's get back to what I was trying to say. To be popular, you must be trending and sort of fit into that trending scheme of things. And especially with the paranormal, if it's trending, it has to be scary and frightening and jump scares and constantly creates fear and paranoia and panic and anxiety. And you can see where I'm going. These sorts of shows, the hosts want views and likes and subscribers, and sometimes because they've got to appeal to the advertisers, and the advertisers have to have lots of subscribers, and it's all very complex. I don't know anything about it because I'm not one of them. So basically, I have very strong morals and ethics, which puts a downer on it straight away, because basically I give honest information with real relatable experiences to educate people. You know, to educate people about the awareness of the paranormal. And some people tell me it's boring, and why don't you make it more dramatic and more exciting? I said, because that wouldn't be honest and that wouldn't be me. I make it relatable. I know every single experience I have shared with you is real. It's either mine or it's a client that has said, yes, you can share that, but please change my name and location, which I always do. And people relate to the experiences. But they're not frightened. They're not frightened by what I share. They go, wow, she said observe without fear. Oh my God, awareness. Awareness. I am so aware now of why that is happening in that bedroom of that house that we just went into the other day and we're thinking about buying, but I don't know, that room feels really creepy. Maybe someone died there and they weren't told. You just don't know. But it's creating that awareness. That's what gives me the tick of approval in my head. I don't need large subscriber numbers, large viewer numbers, comments. I was told once that if you don't have, I can't remember how many comments on each video, you are an utter failure. Well, poo-poo to that, because it's not true. It's all about your perspective. This is where the dark and the light feeds in, this universal balance. Are you going to fall into the devil's shortcuts and lie and cheat and steal and just over-exaggerate videos? Or are you just going to tell the truth, which might be slightly boring, but very, very real? And I know which side I choose. Now, fear and its cousins feed the devil. And when I thought of that, I went, oh, that's rather interesting. I like coming up with these little sayings. And I don't do that on my podcast or on when I used to do videos for YouTube. I mean, I could have got online and found really horrible images. There are some really awful demonic images out there depicting demons, and it doesn't make it relatable to people. It scares the pants off them. So how are they going to think past their fear? So the devil wants you to be scared. I want you to be educated and be calm. This is it. I want people, this is what I wrote down, because sometimes I write notes so that I kind of stay on track. I want people to calmly observe themselves, others, their homes, other locations. Is the issue that's apparent, is it medical? Is it a mental health issue? Or is it a debunkable happening in a home or another place? And if you go through all those options and there's nothing, you just can't find what the problem is, then it has to be an energetic cause. There is no other outcome. And if it is, then it's time to find yourself an energy worker or a demonologist or an exorcist if that's the case. So our last and oh so interesting part of the universal balance is the dark magic practitioners. Now these guys tip the scales in their favour. Now where do they fit into universal balance? They're not technically working for the devil. They're not demons, they are humans. But they're not working for the light either. Where do they fit? I really don't know. But I have to say, and you've heard me say it in episode 100 when Laura and I shared our experiences, that I've experienced, with Laura and her family, magic attack. And it's been nearly 4 years now. Like, they're still at it. Like, constantly. Sometimes on a daily basis. Or new moon, full moon, solar eclipses, or when they just feel like it. But I've crafted really good, what's come out of this, the silver lining, as Laura put it in episode 100, the silver lining, and this is the positive coming out of the negative, is that I've crafted really good energetic protection. And it's kept me alive and Laura and her family safe for the last 4 years. And now I'm getting clients that have their own magical issues for their own whatever reasons that's caused it. And I can help clean up that magical mess and then give them the protection that I use. It doesn't stop the magical practitioners from doing what they do, but it keeps it on the outside of us, so it doesn't affect our organs, our brain, our consciousness, our chakras, meridian lines. We can go about our lives fully functional, but that magic is still around us. There's nothing I can do about that, because around us, around the outside of us, is public space. But these people, they choose to do what they do. Magic and occult practitioners try to corrupt universal balance in their favour. Like, this is ego. Like, this is pure ego and self-indulgence. And I'm not having a go at these people. I'm just, again, laying out the honesty. So if you're a dark magic practitioner listening to this, please don't think I'm attacking you, because I'm not. I'm just saying what I've experienced and how I see how this all fits into universal balance. But God and the devil, because remember, these are the two main players. These are the two main players in this universal balance, in this field that we are occupying, in this earth battlefield that we are occupying. It's like spiritual warfare all the time. The magic practitioners, they've got their own chaos going on. And does their chaos contribute to both sides of the scales? It's harming others, it's causing pain, but it's also bringing out the warrior and the healer in some of us. Now, I don't say I'm a healer, but I'll definitely say I'm a warrior. Not physically, but in other ways, I am so much a warrior. Like, I'm determined to survive this. So I'm working for the side of good. But I've had to deal with the darkness. So this is this weighing out of this universal balance all the time. I actually had someone say to me once, have you ever been asked to work for the dark? Or have you ever had dark magic practitioners approach you to work for them? And I went, no. Because they know that the answer is going to be no. So there's no point asking. I would never, ever consider it. Ever. Now, this is going to sound a bit corny and a bit, spiritual woo-woo. But I love God and I love the archangels and I love working for the light and I love helping people get into being the best that they can be. So why would I work for the dark and take people's lives away from them? It's just not part of my morals and ethics and my values. It just isn't. So the last thing I'm going to say with the magic practitioners and the occult practitioners is that they succumb to their own magic darkness. Because what you do to others is what will come back to you. It is how it is. It is how it works. What you put out, what you manifest comes back to you. Even if you're manifesting harm towards others, that harm is going to come back to you. I'm sure they think they're above that, but it's not how it works. And karma really does bite very, very hard. It will hit them. We all have choice within universal balance. We either go to the dark or the light, or you can sit in the middle. But you're going to find that you are drawn either way as a major outcome in your life. So what do you choose? I know what I choose, because the light offers opportunity. The darkness offers being controlled by something else that is simply feeding off you. It's all about choosing whether you want to live in ego and hatred and fear and cause pain to others or pain to yourself. Do you want to deal with your stuff or not? Because otherwise, if you don't deal with your traumas and what's going on in your lives that is holding you back from your opportunities that are going to better your life, if you procrastinate and avoid all that, you are keeping yourself in the darkness and you are therefore feeding the devil and his henchmen. Or do you go poo-poo to all that? I need to get counselling. I'm going to work through this problem and then I am going to boost my personal growth. I'm going to do courses. I'm going to get healthy. Whatever it is you need to do to work on yourself to be the best that you can be. To boost that universal balance in the side of positivity. So I think that's about all I can say today on that one. I know I got a little bit on my soapbox, but can't help it. It's in my nature to be that way. So in episode 139, you're going to hear about kids and dark entities. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but I had a dad contact me, and he had an issue with his 3-year-old son who has a dark entity in his bedroom. And he's like, I don't know what to do with this. And these kids are very, very psychic. The little 3-year-old boy and his 6-year-old sister. And the dad will ring me and go, I don't know. What do I do with this? So I gave him some very practical approaches to use when working with young, psychically open children. Because these kids tell their parents that they can see spirits or they can see dark wafting shapes, or this little boy called it the bat. And the dad knew exactly what it was and he went, oh, that's no bat. That's no fruit bat. That's something dark. I need to ring Anna. So we got on the phone and we had a conversation and I went, oh, can I use this for a podcast? And he went, sure. Because he was struggling with this. And I thought, if he's struggling with this, there's got to be other people struggling with this as well. Because sometimes kids aren't listened to. I mean, a 3-year-old is not likely to be having mental health issues. Not likely. It is a possibility, but it is not likely. And remember, I'm not a doctor, so don't take that as medical rule of thumb. But we know these kids are very psychic. They have featured in a few of my podcast episodes now. So I gave the dad some very safe and gentle, age-appropriate ways that he can talk to his young children about the paranormal. So stay tuned for next week. If you have young children and you might have this same issue, all right, I will see you all next week and I look forward to spending time with you then. If you like this spooky content of this episode today, please hit the subscribe button and you will get a notification when every new episode is released to the public. And stay tuned for many, many more episodes unpacking the strange and unseen aspects of the paranormal world around us. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.